It all started as a sweet weekend project between a dad and his young daughter, a simple treehouse built with love, tucked in the corner of their own backyard. Nothing fancy, just a small dream brought to life with a few wooden planks and big smiles. But things took a sharp turn when the local HOA got involved, or more specifically, when *1 HOA member decided this treehouse was a personal attack on her sense of order. Meet Karen, yes, that kind of Karen. She's the self-appointed ruler of the neighborhood, and when she caught wind of the treehouse, she wasn't just annoyed, she was furious. Instead of bringing it up at the next HOA meeting or talking to the family, she did something that shocked the entire block. Cameras caught what happened next, and it's left everyone talking. From passive-aggressive notes to full-on yelling matches, this situation spiraled fast. But when she decided to take matters into her own hands, literally, it crossed a line that no one saw coming. And yes, it led to legal consequences. What drives someone to destroy a child's joy over a personal grudge? What happened right after the treehouse came down? And how did the family and the police respond? Stick around, because this story only gets wilder from here. The dad, Mark, had lived in that neighborhood for nearly 6 years. He was the kind of guy who waved to neighbors, kept his lawn tidy, and never made trouble. His daughter, Lily, was just 7 and obsessed with adventure books. When she asked for a treehouse, Mark didn't think twice. He picked up some supplies from a hardware store and spent 2 weekends putting it together. No loud tools late at night, no mess spilling into anyone else's yard, just a small, cozy fort nestled in a sturdy old oak. But Karen, a longtime HOA board member, wasn't having it. She claimed it violated HOA guidelines, even though no one had seen anything in the rulebook about backyard treehouses. Still, she started showing up at Mark's door, snapping photos of the build, muttering about neighborhood standards, and threatening fines. Mark stayed calm, offering to chat about it reasonably, maybe even repaint the treehouse if color was the issue. But Karen wasn't interested in compromise. She wanted it gone. Soon, she escalated. Late-night emails to the HOA, complaints to code enforcement. She even tried to rally a few other neighbors, spinning stories about unsafe construction and lowering property values. Most folks rolled their eyes, but Karen didn't stop. Then one quiet afternoon, she acted, and that's when everything started to unravel. It was around 2 p.m. on a Tuesday when things took a serious turn. Mark had stepped out to run a quick errand, leaving Lily inside watching cartoons. When he got back, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Karen was in his backyard, inside his yard, with a small crowbar, ripping down pieces of the treehouse. Boards were scattered on the grass, and the little flag Lily had painted was torn in half. Lily was crying on the porch, too scared to say anything. Mark rushed over, shouting for her to stop, but Karen just kept yelling back about unauthorized structures and cleaning up the neighborhood. He pulled out his phone and started recording, something neighbors had suggested after her last blow-up. The footage captured her in the act, still yelling, pieces of wood falling around her. When Mark told her he was calling the police, she didn't even flinch. She actually *Ken too. Meanwhile, word spread quickly. A few neighbors came outside, watching from their porches, stunned. Some even started filming too. One of them, Susan, a retired teacher who lived across the street, had always tried to stay neutral, but even she couldn't stay quiet anymore. She spoke up, calling Karen out for overstepping. Karen snapped back, claiming she was just doing what the HOA wouldn't, and that's when the situation really started heating up. As the police sirens echoed down the street, Karen finally froze. The crowbar slipped from her hand and clamped against the pavement. Mark stood in front of what was left of the treehouse, broken boards, a splintered ladder, and Lily's little drawing of her tree castle now torn in half. Neighbors were gathered along the sidewalk, some whispering, others just shaking their heads in disbelief. It wasn't just about a treehouse anymore. When the officers arrived, Mark handed them his phone, still recording. One of the neighbors also stepped forward to give her statement, and Susan pulled out her own footage. Karen, trying to keep her composure, started blaming Mark, claiming the treehouse was a danger to kids and that she was simply removing a hazard. But no one was buying it. Not this time. The officers asked Karen to step aside while they assessed the damage. One of them crouched down near the tree, quietly taking photos and writing in his notebook. Karen started pacing, mumbling about legal rights and how she had enough of this circus. Mark stayed quiet, holding Lily close while she clutched a broken piece of the wooden railing. And just when things couldn't feel more tense, the HOA president showed up, clipboard in hand, eyes wide, clearly caught off guard by the scene. What he said next left everyone stunned. The HOA president, Mr. Dalton, stepped onto the lawn with a mix of confusion and concern. He looked around at the crowd, the wreckage, and finally at Karen, still trying to justify her actions. But before anyone could explain, Karen marched straight up to him and said, "I warned you. You wouldn't enforce the rules, so I did." That's when the twist hit. Mr. Dalton, clearly fed up, pulled a folded paper from his clipboard. "Karen, we did review the treehouse last week. It was approved." Gasps rippled through the group. Mark looked up, stunned. Even the officers paused. Mr. Dalton continued, "You were copied on the email. You responded with a thumbs down emoji and nothing else." Karen's face turned red, her mouth opening and closing like she wanted to speak but couldn't find the words. The damage was done. She destroyed private property that had full HOA approval. That one sentence shifted everything. But then came another surprise, one that turned the heat up even more. Mr. Dalton added, "And this isn't the first time we've had complaints about you stepping over boundaries." He looked at the officers. "There's a record." The officers exchanged a glance. Karen's expression shifted from smug to nervous, and in the tense silence that followed, someone asked the question everyone was thinking. Could this lead to charges beyond just destruction of property? Karen stood frozen, her eyes darting between the officers and Mr. Dalton. The mention of a prior record rattled her. The neighborhood had always seen her as difficult, sure, but now things were different. This wasn't just a messy HOA drama anymore. It had turned into something real, something serious. The officers finally stepped forward. One of them calmly explained that destroying property, especially with proof of premeditation and approval from the HOA, could lead to criminal charges. Karen tried to interrupt, but her voice cracked. The officer asked her to come with them for questioning. As they led her away, the neighborhood watched in stunned silence. Some neighbors looked shocked. Others, honestly, looked relieved. Mark picked up Lily and held her close. She was still quiet, but she leaned her head on his shoulder, and for the first time that day, her grip softened. Mr. Dalton apologized for everything and promised that HOA would cover the cost to rebuild the treehouse. Just as people started to drift back inside and the tension seemed to ease, Susan approached Mark with something odd, a small stack of torn-up notes she'd found near the edge of the yard. They were HOA violation slips, all fake, each one with Karen's handwriting. Turns out, the treehouse wasn't her only target. Over the next few days, things in the neighborhood slowly returned to normal, but the impact of what happened stuck with everyone. The HOA held an emergency meeting where several residents came forward, sharing their own quiet run-ins with Karen. The fake violation slips Susan found were just the beginning. Apparently, she'd been harassing multiple neighbors for years, some even moved away because of it. Mark and Lily got support from the entire block. A few neighbors even offered to help rebuild the treehouse, and by the weekend, it was standing again, stronger than ever, complete with a new flag and a little sign that read, "Lily's Lookout." As for Karen, the police confirmed she'd be facing charges for destruction of property and trespassing. Whether or not more would come from the forged HOA notices was still under investigation, but the community had seen enough. Her seat on the board was officially revoked, and the neighborhood felt lighter without her looming shadow. Mark said it best when someone asked how he felt after it all. It's not just about a treehouse. It's about knowing you're allowed to live in peace. Sometimes it takes a broken board to reveal who's really holding the hammer.